Hitman was directed by Richard Linklater and stars Glen Powell and Adria Arjona, and is in theaters now and is going to be on Netflix in a couple of weeks in some places. I don't think it's everywhere on Netflix, which okay. In this movie, we follow the somewhat true story of Gary Johnson, played by Powell, who was a professor moonlighting as an undercover agent for the New Orleans Police Department and would help them capture criminals who might have some violent intent and could do something. And eventually, on one of these cases, he meets Maddie Masters, played by Arjona, who eventually he falls in love with. And as he develops a relationship with her, things get a little complicated, and now we have a movie. Richard Linklater is a director who I really like. I've enjoyed a lot of his movies over the years. I think he's a very versatile director, having worked with many different types of genres, many different types of mediums as well. He's even done some animated movies. And I think that when it comes to him making a movie, I'm often interested because he has this ability to try and, bring in the more serious stuff along with the comedy in like a stealth manner. Something that you don't necessarily expect going into it. With Hitman, I feel like what Richard Linklater does is a lot of interesting stuff, and it leads to a movie that I found incredibly fascinating, but also extremely entertaining. I don't think there was a moment of time with this movie where I wasn't completely invested in every single thing happening on screen. I had such a great time with it, and I also recommend seeing it in a theater if you can, because watching it with this crowd and a lot of people just laughing along and having a great time with it, there's a lot of stuff to really, enjoy with that experience. I think Glen Powell is really a star. And I have been saying that for a while now, even if it's not in videos. But I think with, the recent crop of movies that he's done and stuff that he's done along the way over the years, the fame that he's getting is very well deserved. This is a man who definitely understands how it is to just, be in front of a camera and really sell a performance. And I think with Hitman, he does his best work so far because he's having to play these different personalities and, get very creative with his identities. And the way he portrays Gary Johnson, sort of going from mild-mannered professor to, very charismatic, suave hitman Ron sometimes. It's like there are some things over there that are very well captured, and I thought he was excellent in this movie. Similarly excellent is Adria Arjona. As Maddie, she's a complicated character, but there's also that romance that eventually builds between her and Gary, which I thought was extremely well realized, and I really liked her character. I think her performance is also really good. I've seen her in a bunch of stuff over the years as well. I think this is also one of her best turns so far. And eventually the romance that builds between them is wonderfully realized and incredibly sexy. You must have heard this before from people who've seen the movie. There's definitely a lot of things over here which are very intense and fiery between them, and again, very well captured, and it just speaks to the amount that these two actors can, really wonderfully play off of one another. And a lot of that also has to do with the way the film is written. With Linklater and Powell's script, it manages to realize those elements really nicely. But like I said, it's not just a movie about the rom-com aspects or, trying to do something with, these over-the-top bizarre disguises that are happening with Gary Johnson, but it's also dealing with what comes of those things when it comes to like the undercover personalities. Like what exactly is, that life if you're, having to live as different identities? What does that do to you? And it becomes a very interesting storyline, that sort of deconstructs undercover life. It's not always as fun as it's made out to be. I mean, you have to sometimes, try to separate those two things or deal with the consequences of those things, and it's not always pretty. And the fact that the movie manages to handle it in such a wonderful way is again a testament to how intricately the whole film has been put together. It makes for a much more compelling storyline and not something that's just stuck to, trying to be a very fun, breezy time, which it is. That's the best thing about Linklater movies for me, a lot of them, is that you can have a lot of entertainment to them, but there is something serious that sometimes underlies them that warrants your attention, and it manages to do a very, very good job with that. It's also very cool because Gary himself doesn't kill people. He's not someone who you're expecting to just, start shooting if things go wrong. He's going to go in there, do what he has to do as his, performance, as his undercover stuff, and then walk out of there. You're not expecting him to be dangerous in any way. And so that also ends up being a factor where it's like, what if, what if that situation arises? What do you do then? And again, having to, deal with some stuff, especially as he's with Maddie, again, very, very well realized. I really enjoyed this movie throughout. I had no real issues with it. A couple of minor little, nitpicks here and there. Like I thought sometimes it could be a little more tonally sound at times, but really, I had such a good time with it. I love the supporting cast as well. I thought everybody did a good job. Linklater, as usual, has a great music choice. The soundtrack over here is great. Some very fun needle drops in here included, and some excellent comedy throughout. And I really loved it. I think as far as 2024 goes, there's so many great movies that are dropping right now, and we're not even halfway through the year, which is really exciting. I mean, when you think about it, it's like, what else is coming out this year? Anything is possible. I'm gonna give Hitman a 9.5 out of 10. That's like the third movie I've seen over the last week, 10 days, where I was like, oh my god, it was good. I'm just really happy right now with the state of movies as they are. I saw another movie, which I will talk about in a bit, which was yesterday. I'm looking forward to discussing that with you as well. And thank you guys as always for watching. It means a lot to me that you guys come and check out this channel. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.